I don't quite understand why the state has this pathological hatred for Tommy Robinson. I don't know much about him.
Tommy Robinson rally ignites rift between Rupert Lowe and Ben Habib. You're not going to believe what just happened. A rally connected to Tommy Robinson has just sent shockwaves through Britain's political right, and the fallout is already brutal. Two figures who once stood shoulder to shoulder, Rupert Lowe and Ben Habib, are suddenly on opposite sides. And let me tell you, this isn't just a disagreement. This feels like the start of a fracture that could reshape parts of the populist movement in the UK. So, what really happened? And why is everyone talking about it? It all began when Robinson, never far from controversy, held a rally that drew crowds and, of course, heavy criticism from the media and political establishment. But the real drama wasn't outside, with protesters and supporters clashing in the streets. No, it was inside the world of British politics. Rupert Lowe, businessman turned political voice, and Ben Habib, known for his outspoken stance on sovereignty and immigration, suddenly found themselves divided over how to handle Robinson's presence on the political stage. Lowe appeared to signal that engagement with Robinson's base, even if controversial, might be necessary to connect with disaffected voters. Habib, he wasn't having it. He reportedly made it clear that associating with Robinson risked alienating moderate supporters and destroying credibility with the wider public. And just like that, a crack appeared in what many assumed was a solid alliance. Let's pause for a second. Why is this such a big deal? Because both Lowe and Habib represent a wing of British politics that's been trying to carve out space between mainstream conservatives and more hardline populists. They've been vocal critics of the current establishment, calling for stronger borders, economic reform, and an end to what they see as political correctness dominating debate. But here's the catch: they've always presented themselves as united. A partnership. A shared vision. And when unity cracks, movements crumble. If they can't agree on how to approach a figure like Robinson, it raises the question, can they agree on much else? Public reaction was immediate. Social media lit up with takes from every angle. One commentator tweeted, "This shows the danger of tying yourself to controversial figures. Habib is right, Robinson is political poison." But others hit back, arguing that Habib was playing it safe and missing the raw energy that rallies like Robinson's still attract. One supporter wrote, "Lowe understands the working-class anger. Habib is just running scared." Even journalists piled in. A columnist for The Independent framed it as a sign of the populist right cannibalizing itself, while a writer for The Spectator suggested it could be a moment of clarity. Movements need to decide whether they want influence or just noise. This isn't the first time British politics has seen a split over strategy. Think back to UKIP, where disagreements over Nigel Farage's leadership and the party's direction led to constant infighting, splinter groups, and ultimately decline. The same risk now hangs over Lowe and Habib. If one wants to embrace the energy of Robinson's rallies, while the other wants to steer clear, then where does that leave their movement? Because history shows once fractures begin, they rarely heal neatly. Behind closed doors, insiders say this could have long-term consequences. According to one source quoted in a political newsletter, there were already tensions simmering between Lowe and Habib over how aggressively to push their message. The Robinson rally just dragged those tensions out into the open. Another insider put it bluntly, this is a test. Do they stand firm together, or do they go the way of UKIP, divided, weakened, and irrelevant? And that's the point. It's not just about two men disagreeing. It's about whether a whole political strand can hold together. Zoom out, and you see the pattern. Across Europe, populist movements face the same question. How far is too far? In France, Marine Le Pen has tried to detoxify her party's image. In Italy, Giorgia Meloni carefully walks a tightrope between populist energy and mainstream respectability. In Britain, the same dilemma now plays out in real time. Is Tommy Robinson a symbol of working-class frustration that politicians ignore at their peril? Or is he a liability that drags everyone down with him? Rupert Lowe and Ben Habib are answering that question differently, and that difference is now threatening to blow up their partnership. So, where does this leave us? We have a rally that was supposed to galvanize Robinson's base. But instead, it's cracked open divisions among those who claim to speak for that same audience. We have Rupert Lowe and Ben Habib, once allies, now rivals in strategy. And we have a public watching closely, asking the question that matters most. If a movement can't even agree on who to stand with, how can it ever hope to lead a country? And maybe that's the real story here. Not the rally, not the headlines, but the split. Because when movements split, the fallout is always bigger than anyone expects.